So I met you in 2011, I think.
I think that's right.
On the Lisa Hannigan passenger session. I was sitting there having breakfast and you appeared with your hat and shades, and I thought, oh, there's a man I'd like to talk to.
I mean, the whole project was emotional in a way that I might have anticipated but couldn't fully. Not every project that I produce do I leave with lifelong friends, and I feel like I left that session with at least knowing 5 people that I expect to know the rest of my life, you being one of them. And the song that still brings me just to a dead stop whenever I encounter it is Little Bird. When I've been asked like at a conference or something, how do you, what does a record producer really do? And I said, well, it's different all the time, or it can be. And I use that song as an example. I said, one way it goes is that when we were recording Little Bird, and it was just you and Lisa and Lucy Wilkins on violin, I said, they played through it. I wept and then said, no more. I mean, that's that's what it meant to produce that track. If I recall, she's capoed way up.
Yeah.
So there's that beautiful collision of strings. As you know by now, John, that's one of my favorite things in the world is a couple of guitars, acoustic guitars playing together where everybody understands the basic shape of the song, but nothing is completely sorted out. It's not mandated in an orchestral arrangement. It's loose and it's free. And you guys being in such different tonalities, her way up high and you tuned low, the impression listening is just that it's one enormous instrument with an incredible range of sound.
Yeah. Well, it's the basis of a lot of my recordings, and also, we kind of brought that in when we were making a couple of your records.
I was thinking in the car over here, you've been on my last 4 records in a row.
Yeah.
You've been a consistent voice that I've wanted to return to for that very reason. I don't have anybody else in my life, with whom that particular alchemy seems possible.
I've been in plenty of studio sessions, but that first one that I did with you where everything was, the Lisa session, where everything was live, we were all in the room, pretty much cheek to cheek, just playing things 3 or 4 times. I'd heard this about you, that you were, you were in the practice of getting 3 or 4 takes max, and if you sail past it, it's gone, it's over there, moving on, and it really made a very big impression on me.
There's a sweet spot that seems to really consistently exist where no one's reading anymore. People understand the fundamental architecture of the song, and yet nobody is doing anything by rote. It hasn't gotten so familiar that people are just on some kind of autopilot. Like, I've got my part now, I'll see you on the other side. Everyone's listening to each other incredibly intensely. And one person's shift is like a murmuration of birds. Everybody shifts. And that's my favorite thing, to witness. And it's my favorite thing to hear, not just records that I produce.
Where did that come from?
Well, I've thought a lot about it. Obviously, my longtime friend and mentor, T-Bone Burnett, works that way. And I certainly saw it employed over and over when I was first his acolyte. But I've since understood that I think we both sort of got it from Bob Johnston. There's a moment on one of the Dylan bootleg series, and Bob Johnston comes over the talkback to somebody, and I think it's to Rick Danko on bass. And he just says, yeah, what you were doing. And that's the perfect example of what I've witnessed T-Bone do, and what I know I try to do is not ever tell anybody what to play, but look for the thing that people are doing that is working, and then just affirming it.
Right.
Like, yeah, that. And as soon as you do that to one person in the room, everybody else in the room, if they're good listeners, hears that there's something about that direction that is speaking. Am I contributing to that? Am I supporting it or amplifying it? And it's never about, no, not that, man. Do something else. It's just about, that thing that you just did, that's where we're going. when people have an idea, give them the space, give them the room, because of what I've learned from T-Bone, you make people feel loved and supported, they'll give you everything they have. You can't stop them from doing it. Very early into our friendship, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I always felt that we both thought it was inevitable that we would make a John Smith record together.
Yeah.
It's just about when can we get there? When will the time be right for that and circumstance allow it?
Yes.
I didn't know it'd be in the middle of a snowstorm in Maine, and yet there we were.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the weather's normally like where you live, but minus 25 is a bit much.
It's not always like that. And we had that opportunity to write Lily together. I was starting a pot of chili in the mid-morning, and you were sitting at the island in the kitchen, and you had that song just beginning.
Yeah.
And we just sat there and worked on the lyrics while I was moving between sauteing ground beef and hot peppers.
Yeah.
And then we went and cut it. That's the song where we both heard how much possibility there was in not only us working together, but working together just at my house in the room.
Yeah. We were recording kind of 11 till 7 and then going downstairs, and Mel was cooking food.
And we were all in one room, I believed that room could meet us there and have that kind of flexibility, but didn't really know till we were in there.
Yeah.
How that would pan out, both sonically and just, can we set up in a way that we have the freedom for Ross Gallagher, wonderful bassist and singer too.
Amazing.
To move between upright and electric bass.
If I remember, we had 4 channels to play with at one time, right? So I was getting vocal and guitar.
Yeah.
Ross.
What?
Maybe like a guitar amp.
Yeah.
Because we recorded my electric guitar on a mic just to the body as well, didn't we? To get that kind of.
Yeah.
I was playing that steel.
Yeah, anything that had a hollow body.
Yeah.
So your mule Telecaster.
Yeah. We were getting the body of that.
Yeah. I mean, how many great records that we mutually love were recorded with 4 tracks.
Yeah. All that.
I really like how it insists that people be fully committed.
Yeah.
To ideas. What you're going to pick as a take, how much you're going to balance, some idea of so-called, perfection in a performance versus the soulful, unexpected that we always want to also be there because, there's no humanity in the music. If everything is just on the grid, you just take the blood right out of it.
I suppose, self-producing, co-producing, I've enjoyed making all of my records, but I've always felt that there was perhaps some, I don't know, could have just done with a little bit of kind of grit between my teeth.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I can say that the thing that I overall, at the end of the day, that I'm most proud of about your record is that it both sounds like nothing you've ever made before to me, and yet it sounds exactly like you.